Jake rubbed his neck. He likes meeting the wives of employees he promotes. Something about the way he said it made my stomach twist, but I shrugged it off. The next night we went to this ridiculously expensive restaurant downtown. The kind where the steak costs more than my electric bill. That's when I met Richard Donovan. And let me tell you something. The dude gave me the creeps instantly. He was in his mid-50s, slick hair, fake smile. The type of guy who looks at women like they're menu items. During dinner, he barely talked to Jake. His attention stayed on me. "Emily," he said, leaning back in his chair. "Jake tells me you're quite the catch." Jake laughed awkwardly. I forced a polite smile. Then Richard said something that made my skin crawl. "You know, loyalty in this company goes a long way." His eyes locked on Jake, then back to me, like we were having two completely different conversations at the same time. I didn't realize what was happening until later. When we got home, Jake was quiet. Too quiet. Then he poured another drink and said something that changed everything. There's something we should talk about." My chest tightened. "What's up?" He stared at the floor. Then he said it. "Rich really liked you." I laughed nervously. "Okay." Jake looked at me, and the next words out of his mouth made my blood run cold. He said, "If you spend some time with him, he'll guarantee my promotion." I blinked. "Excuse me?" Jake rushed his words. "It's just one night. Just dinner, maybe drinks." I stood up so fast my chair almost fell. "You want me to sleep with your boss?" Jake raised his hands. "Lower your voice." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Are you out of your damn mind?" He got defensive instantly. "Do you know how big this opportunity is?" I stared at him. The man I loved. The man I trusted. And suddenly he felt like a complete stranger. "You're asking me to sell my dignity for your promotion?" Jake didn't even look ashamed. He just said something that shattered whatever love I had left. "It's just one night. People do worse things for success." That's when something inside me snapped. And right there in that moment, I decided my husband had just made the biggest mistake of his life. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just looked at him and said calmly, "Okay." Jake blinked. "Wait, really?" I nodded slowly. "If that's what it takes to get you your promotion, I'll do it." His face lit up with relief. "Thank you, Em. You're the best wife ever." "Yeah, sure. The best wife ever." What Jake didn't realize, I had absolutely no intention of doing what he thought. But I was going to meet Richard again. And I was going to make sure both of them paid for what they tried to do to me. A week later, Richard invited me to meet him at his penthouse. Jake acted like a kid on Christmas morning. You ever look at someone you loved for 10 years and suddenly realize you never actually knew them? Yeah. That was me the night my husband asked me to do something that made my stomach drop straight to the floor. And the worst part? He didn't even look guilty when he said it. He just looked desperate, like my dignity was nothing more than a bargaining chip. But here's the thing my husband forgot about me. I'm not the kind of woman you sacrifice. I'm the kind of woman who makes sure you regret it for the rest of your life. So, if you think betrayal doesn't come with consequences, stick around, because this story ends with the most satisfying revenge you'll ever hear. My name is Emily Carter, and up until last year, I thought I had a pretty normal life. Nothing fancy, just comfortable. My husband Jake and I had been married for 9 years. We met in college, fell hard, and built a life together in Chicago. He worked at a corporate marketing firm. I ran a small interior design business. We weren't rich, but we were doing all right. Nice apartment. Weekend brunches. Netflix nights. You know, the usual couple stuff. But the last year, Jake had been acting weird. Stressed. Obsessed with work. Always talking about his boss, Richard Donovan. "Rich is tough, Jake would say. But if I impress him, I'm next in line for senior partner." At first, I supported him. I mean, that's what spouses do, right? But slowly, I started noticing something. Jake was becoming different. More desperate. More greedy. Like the promotion mattered more than anything else. Even me. One Friday night, Jake came home looking nervous as hell. He poured himself a whiskey and sat across from me. "Hey, babe. Rich is throwing a private dinner tomorrow." "Cool," I said. "Hope it goes well." He hesitated. then said something weird. "He wants to meet you." I laughed. "Why?" "Just charm him a little," he whispered before I left. I smiled sweetly. "Oh, I will." What neither of them knew, I had my phone recording the entire time. When Richard opened the door, he was already smirking. "I was wondering when you'd show up." I stepped inside calmly. We talked for about 10 minutes before he got straight to the point. "Jake wants that promotion pretty bad." I nodded. "Yes, he does." Richard poured wine and said something disgusting. "Well, let's just say promotions here are negotiated." Then he reached for my hand. "Perfect." I leaned closer and asked sweetly, "So, just to be clear, if I sleep with you, Jake gets promoted?" Richard chuckled. "That's how this works."
Gotcha.
I had everything on recording. Every word. Every disgusting offer. The next morning, Jake was bouncing with excitement. "So, how'd it go?" I smiled. "Oh, it went great." But instead of answering him, I walked out the door. Because I had somewhere important to go. Jake's company's HR department. And let me tell you something. Corporate HR departments love evidence, especially when it involves executives abusing power. Within 48 hours, the entire company was in chaos. Richard Donovan was placed under investigation. Jake was questioned about everything. And guess what? I didn't stop there. Because remember that recording? Yeah. I also sent it to a corporate ethics hotline and a journalist friend. Within a week, the story exploded. Executive accused of offering promotions in exchange for sexual favors. Richard was fired immediately. But Jake? Oh, Jake's downfall was even better. Because the company realized he was part of the scheme. He didn't just lose his promotion. He lost his job, his reputation, everything. Jake stormed into the apartment furious. "What did you do?" I sat calmly on the couch. "You mean exposing your disgusting little deal?" His face turned red. "You ruined my career." I laughed.
No, Jake.
"You ruined your career the moment you tried to sell your wife." He looked like he might explode. "You're unbelievable." I stood up and handed him divorce papers.
No.
"What's unbelievable is that you thought I'd actually do it." Jake stared at the papers like his life had just ended, which, honestly, it kind of had. And the best part? I walked away with my dignity intact, while he lost everything. It's been 8 months since all this went down. I moved to a new city. My design business is thriving. Life is peaceful again. Sometimes people ask if I regret destroying Jake's life. My answer? Not even a little. Because anyone who's willing to trade their partner's dignity for success deserves exactly what they get. So yeah, that's the story of how my husband tried to sacrifice me for his promotion and ended up losing his career, his marriage, and his reputation. All because he thought I'd stay quiet. He forgot one important thing. Never underestimate a woman who's been betrayed. If you enjoyed this revenge story, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more shocking, true revenge stories. And I want to hear your opinion. What would you have done in my situation? Would you expose them like I did, or get revenge in a different way? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because the craziest part? Some of the best revenge stories come from real life.